Thank you guys so much for the congratulations. My baby girl came a little bit early and she is eating right over there. So we have it blocked off for the dogs. But overall, the main point of this video is going to be this bubble is about to pop. And I don't know how some people still can't see it at this point. And that's why we really need to get into some technical analysis for the SPY, Qs, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Nvidia, and AMD. We're just going to start right off with the SPY. So if you didn't make it for yesterday's video, first of all, you might want to turn those notifications on. I do put out videos a little later these days, so turn on those notifications. Thank you so much if you are subscribed. But we do have that weekly range, 501.87 to the upside and 486.83 to the downside. And overall, these ranges just mean this is what the options market has priced in for the entire week. And we have a 68% chance to land back within this zone. So if we do get a little excited and get outside of this, well, we would be outside of that, and there still is that 68% chance to land back in this zone. Now, if we were to get excited maybe the opposite direction and sell off, sure, we have that 68% chance to land back within this zone, but as we do start to close outside of here, we really want to pay attention if this low is taken out, because if this low is taken out, we can see more dramatic selling actually come in. It is a very, very useful tool. I use it pretty much weekly to take profit on trades and things like that. It's a good way to take profit because we do see this curvature of the MACD. So we'll get into our bullish take. And overall, the probabilities are leaning towards this for tomorrow, and that would be that this is some kind of maybe cup and handle, right? We're going to fill this whole thing, get a handle, and start to head upward. And we're going to see some kind of 30-minute divergence that could get us close to that negative territory. If we get some bad news, that's when we really could see this thing turn around. So I'm leaning towards this at this point. What we'd want to pay attention to is if we did get outside of this range and there are 30-minute divergences, that's a good sign that we're probably going to at least land back within this zone in that 68% chance. So I'm really leaning towards the bullish side, especially with this MACD behavior. Really looks like it wants to curl up in positive territory. You still have the RSI above that center line. So we could see some further momentum upward in the short time frames. And that could just mean tomorrow we do see some kind of move upward, and we'll have to pay attention from there. I do want to give a quick bearish take. If we are going to head lower and maybe, come and touch the bottom of our weekly range, this would probably be some kind of flagging at this point. Okay, so there are kind of a bullish and bearish take here. Bullish take, we're in positive territory. We could see that curl up. That one seems the most obvious. The way that this would maybe break down is if we actually see some strength and we test this high, right? We don't make a new one. We come up, we test this high or come a little short of it, and then we see some kind of left head, and then we come down from there and create some kind of right shoulder. And then we see that start to break down. We kind of use this liquidity in here, we use this liquidity in here to go a little bit lower. So bullish and bearish take, I am leaning towards the bullish take at this point. But at this point, it is a good time to be cautious because this bubble is going to pop very, very soon. The Qs, we just want to pay attention to these weekly ranges, right? It's a little bit closer, so this is where I'm going to be paying attention to the Qs a little bit more tomorrow, just because it's a little closer to that upside of the weekly range, right? We have 433.54 to the upside, and we do have 414.08 to the downside, but you'll notice we're a lot closer. So if this does want to curl up, we do have a little bit of a triangle in here to move higher, a little continuation triangle on the 30-minute. We would curl up in positive territory, and then as we do get outside this range, if we can curl back down, we will see some kind of divergence pretty dang close to negative territory. And that's where we need it to kind of hold in that negative territory. We'll notice back here when I was stating how, hey, this could be it. Well, that's because we were in negative territory, but we quickly mentioned, hey, if this is kind of getting some strength here, we need it to roll over one more time. If it continues in that positive territory, you see more positivity. So if this would have rolled back over at this point, rolled over on this MACD in negative territory, then that trend would have continued. But that didn't happen, so we just have to be on our toes and trade like water. We've said this in the past. We trade like water, we move around the rocks, and we really pay attention to the price action and move back and forth. Apple is one that's a little bit different story, okay? So Apple did make it back into this important zone up here, and is this still just some kind of touch to then head lower? It could be. But as of right now, you do see some little cup in here, and you got a handle, and it looks like we're about to break to the upside. So we could see some upside in Apple. Really see if we're able to hold up in this area, or if we just see a sudden pop up and then we drop right back down in it. That's really the only thing with Apple that I see at this point, is a little cup and handle that looks like it's about to play out. And we see that in the post market, we're actually seeing some buying up. So it's just something to pay attention to. Apple's a little different than the other stocks at this point. Most of them are going to have that kind of 30-minute MACD behavior that really looks like we want to get an upward push. Apple's a little bit different. It looks like that push might lead to some kind of downfall. So we just have to be on our toes with Apple. Amazon, we were talking about how yesterday we looked like we were forming some kind of consolidation. It looks like we do have a continuation triangle at this point, so that's something to pay attention to. But notice the MACD behavior is a little different than Apple. It's a lot more like the overall market. So we do see this MACD behavior. It looks like it wants to curl up into positive territory again. So if we do see a break to the upside, we're going to test this high. But I really think Amazon does have a good shot to come and make a new high at this point. So I would say, if you're part of my Patreon, and if you're not, you can click the link down in the description to get these weekly ranges for these individual stocks that we actually cover, and the monthly ranges. They're very, very useful. And I know that the weekly range is up in this area up here, so we need to pay attention to some kind of like A, B, C pattern that creates some kind of divergence on the 30-minute to head lower. Important to note, with those divergences, we do still need bad news. Okay, so we need that bad news because we could be getting some kind of triple divergence and see this continue. We just really want to get close to that center line to start a negative trend in the near future. Tesla also is a little different story. It's just kind of this wonky action in here, right? We got into positive territory. Now we're hovering right around that center line. So I'd really be paying attention for this to pop one way or the other. If we remain in this negative territory, we're going to go lower. And if we are able to hold in positive territory, well, we're going to go higher. And maybe that is a full completion of a cup. And then we see this extend for quite some time. The reason I'm saying the bullish side more so is because if I look at a 2-hour, all I see down here is this divergence. So I do have divergence on the MACD and the RSI at the same time, and it is pretty steep. So we could be getting some kind of bounce out of Tesla that might even roll over this daily chart. Okay, this daily MACD might actually roll over with this, and we could get some kind of small bounce in the near future. So we want to pay attention to that. We have to pay attention to stocks when they give us divergences, and you'll notice here on Tesla that we do have one as of right now. So we could be seeing some kind of bounce tomorrow, and maybe that's for the market to, test some higher levels, get outside of their weekly ranges, and form some 30-minute divergences to give us a hint, hey, the momentum's dying out. If we get some bad news here, we could have our top, and this bubble is going to pop. Nvidia, similar MACD behavior, but notice it's not as kind of like drawn out and very close to the center line, so we don't have as much room to head higher. I really think Nvidia is going to get maybe a test of this high. I really think that would happen, and that would take us outside of our weekly range for Nvidia. If you have the Patreon, if you're part of my Patreon, down in the description, you would have saw that, and it's really right where selling came in. Okay, so we need to pay attention to those weekly ranges. But it looks like we might want to curl up one more time in positive territory. Now, if this wanted to actually head down, then we might be getting our first ABC pattern down because we didn't necessarily fill this gap here. So we could see some kind of filling of that gap first and then a reaction, or we could be getting into negative territory and starting that negative trend. Nvidia was one of the stocks that when we had our last sell-off, and when we had our last big run here, it really reacted pretty quickly before the actual market and before other stocks. So Nvidia is a very good one to pay attention to. I think that in the near future, over the next day or so, we do have a good chance to test this high, but I'm open to both scenarios. I think that we have the potential to really go either way, and we're in an area up here at this weekly spot where things can start to break. And AMD is looking like it wants to break down. I noticed that does have some kind of consolidation here, some bigger consolidation here on the 30 minutes. So that's something to pay attention to. But we've noticed a few times we get into that negative territory and we get that curl up into positive territory. Okay, so right now we're in that negative territory again, but it looks like we're about to curl up. So really pay attention if this rolls over one more time. If we do get a reaction down and then we roll back up and you see this MACD kind of keep going in positive territory and break through this triangle, good chance that we're going to go a little bit higher. But if we actually see that roll back over, this could be just some kind of, bounce to get out of oversold conditions and then start to break the other way. So really, I'm paying attention to this triangle at this point and really watching the MACD, making sure I'm noticing, hey, it is remaining in positive territory or it is crossing over into negative territory. That's going to be my big hint which way AMD is going to go over the next few days. I do want to bring up the 10-year yield, and it is getting back into positive territory. We could be getting some kind of reaction out of this soon. And the reason that I'm a little hesitant what the market is doing is because we've seen this 10-year yield go up for a couple of days, for almost 3 days. And we really didn't see any kind of pushback on those tech stocks. We saw it in a few, but we really saw the Qs actually start to go up while this was going up. And that is a bad thing. If we look at TLT, we'll notice it actually is coming down. And we just saw the market a few minutes ago. The market actually came down at this point and then started to go back up. So this means that this was a signal, hey, we're actually going to see a bounce in the market. And now we're getting the opposite of that signal. We're seeing the market kind of go like this still, and we're seeing TLT actually drop off. So that's a little thing versus the smart money and dumb money. So right now the smart money is being hesitant, even selling off a bit, and the dumb money is still piling in. One thing I wanted to talk about with the VIX here, and I'm not necessarily leaning towards it, but we could be getting some kind of blow off top. We really could, because if this wants to curl over, I just marked twice, but if this wants to curl over on the daily for the VIX into negative territory, we could see some big positivity for quite some time and come test this level of 1212 again. I believe that will most likely be your blow off top at that point. So really pay attention to this on the daily. Now, if I go down to a 30-minute, we're going to notice that we're still stuck within this range, right? We've gotten some hip fire moves outside of it, but we really haven't broken one way or the other. So that is something to pay attention to. Really, it does look like, at least to me, that we are going to see this maybe even come down and test this level one more time, even test 1212. Okay, so 1212, if you didn't know, is a place where we get big reactions when we get down to it. So you'll notice we get down to 1212 for a period of time, we get that little shoot up in volatility, which kind of led us into this range. So really pay attention to the VIX if it is breaking to the upside of this or breaking to the downside. If it's breaking to the downside, most likely this is our little blow off top scenario. If it's able to hold up at this area and then go the other way and break the top side, well, congratulations. We're going to look at that weekly chart here and say, hey, we have a green bar on a histogram down here on the MACD. You have it on the RSI at the same time. So we could be seeing some crash signals that are literally right in front of us. So we do see this downward move here. We see that divergence on the MACD. We see it on the RSI at the same time. And this could be our little bit of a hint. Hey, with this green bar, if we see some volatility come back in, this could be it, and we are most likely going to start that crash of 2024 that we've been talking about. The main takeaway for this video is the bubble is about to pop, and we're getting that wonky price action. We're getting buyers in at the top, which happens a lot of the time. We get those FOMOers last second, and then it gets ripped away from them. So the higher up we go, the worse the rug pull will be. Thank you guys so much for watching my video, liking, subscribing. You guys are so good about all that stuff, and thank you so much on the congratulations with my first daughter. Yeah, it's kind of weird to say, but it's very, very cool. Obviously, I'm a little bit tired, but I'm still making sure to get out here and make some videos for you guys. So I hope you do appreciate it, and I appreciate you watching the video all the way through. It means a lot to me. I wish you guys all the luck in the world trading the rest of the week, and I hope you guys have a great, great night.